What's up? What's up? I decided to go live on my personal page to do this training. So I hopefully can tag some peeps here and I'm going to get rocking and rolling. Super excited. So I definitely want to cover adrenal love, but from the standpoint of first breaking down exactly what adrenal fatigue is. Talk about stress, but not like blah, 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 automatic stress. Like, where did it actually come from? Because if we understand where stress actually comes from, then we have a much, much, much chance of managing it, which is something that I know all of us can do. So I'm really, really, really pumped. Like I said, I'm just going to tag a few peeps here that I know want to be on this because I am doing it from my personal page rather than from my group page because I just wanted to share the freaking love here. So I'm fired up. So fired up to get started. And please definitely send any questions through in the comments if you have any. So we're going to dive right in right now. And we are going to start with what the heck is adrenal fatigue anyway, right? We hear that buzzword like all over the place. And it's one of those terms I think that gets overused a little bit, and then we kind of self-diagnose. Oh yeah, I'm stressed out, I must have adrenal fatigue, right? But what actually is adrenal fatigue? And it's pretty common. Simply put, adrenal fatigue happens when there's an imbalance of cortisol in your bloodstream, in your body. And it's not just too high, but when cortisol is high when it should be low and low when it should be high. Okay, there's an ebb and a flow to cortisol, and we do want to naturally secrete cortisol in the morning hours and allow it to kind of subside as the day goes on. And then we start stimulating the secretion of our more calming hormones like serotonin and oxytocin and good old melatonin, of course. But adrenal fatigue, really, it all starts in the brain, okay, through a network of communications that happen, and it's called the HPA axis. So it's basically the hypothalamus talking to the pituitary gland, like telephone tag, and adrenal fatigue happens when there's just a misfiring. There's like a miscommunication in that telephone tag between your brain and your adrenal function and your adrenal glands themselves. So your hypothalamus is, releasing these stress hormones, often at not the right times or not the right amounts, or it's sending messages to the brain to do things with regard to fight or flight that just aren't in sync and aren't in balance. That's basically what adrenal fatigue is. And what causes it, right? Here's where we can get interesting. Of course, chronic stress causes it. It keeps you in this perpetual battle of fight or flight. And I've talked about this a lot within this 3-day challenge I did. I've talked about this in other groups and certainly deep dive with my personal clients for sure. What happens is when we're under chronic stress, it creates a really volatile internal environment for our bodies. We were not intended to stay in a chronic state of stress. Stress is important, and it certainly has kept us alive, but these chronic stressors that cause things like adrenal fatigue and burnout, like emotional stress, emotional burden, imbalances or dysfunction of your microbiome, which is all the healthy bacteria that lives in your gut, autoimmune disorders, toxins, both in the environment and in our foods, nutrient deficiencies, over or under exercising. These are all things that could contribute to adrenal fatigue. What I want to do is just now wrap up some symptoms. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but when I read through this list of symptoms to my clients, it's like, yep, me included, yep, got all those, yep. The good news is there's so much that we can do about it. And when we deal with this one piece of our health, this is why I love to get in and talk about stress and adrenal fatigue, because this one thing alone unpacks so much more. And we can dive so much deeper into our soul and the passion and purpose that we have for life just by addressing adrenal fatigue, burnout, and stress itself. So I love exploring with my clients, starting here with this one area of physiology, one area of their biological system. So what are some of the symptoms? Stomach bloating, afternoon lulls, like you just get that afternoon fatigue, brain fog, certainly sugar and salt cravings throughout the day, trouble staying asleep at night. So you might fall asleep, but then you're up a few times throughout the night. Moodiness, irritability, headaches, trouble losing weight, and then some more serious things like blood sugar irregularities. So we definitely want to be on the watch out for that. And that leads me to what's next, right? Of course, you don't want to self-diagnose. And I'm not treating you personally right now. If I am your physiologist, I can still talk you through it and walk you through what you need to get done in terms of blood work. But I do recommend, if you do suspect that you have adrenal fatigue and you have these symptoms, the first thing you want to do is get some blood work done. And you can actually ask them to test your adrenal stress index. And that is easy for me to say, salivary, I haven't had any wine yet, I promise. Salivary test that tracks for about 24 hours your hormone levels, your cortisol levels. So that's something good that you want to get done. And then we're going to manage your stress. Boom. That's what we're going to do. And then, of course, optimizing your nutrition, and then incorporating things like meditation and yin typed workouts like yoga and qigong, which again, I've offered certainly for my personal clients, and just even in the last 3 days. So if you missed this 3-day free challenge I did, I will put a link below to the private group where I hosted that. If you want to get more information there, absolutely feel free. Some good stuff there. Adding cardiovascular exercise as opposed to doing more high intensity interval training or some just more intense strength training. Again, you want to yin out your workouts. Improving your sleep, and that's going to go with kind of how we manage stress, and then incorporating some adaptogen herbs, which I will share with you a few of my faves. So let's get into some deliciousness here. Let's get into understanding stress. And I hope you find this super meaningful, and I hope it gives you some just things to really think about. When we hear the word stress, it's just like such a common word, but here's the perspective I want to share tonight. And that is, stress is actually a collective pressure, not a personal pressure. So what I mean by that, it's actually a pressure shared by all of humanity. Okay, we literally have created this energy field generated by every human alive, so it affects every single one of us. It's part of our aura. Now, why does it exist? Because we have encoded in our DNA, as part of our survival mechanism, fear. Okay, because prehistorically we needed fear in order to create the stress hormones that produce the action of fight or flight. So it has allowed us to stay alive for the past, several 100,000 years. However, we have evolved as a species on so many levels. In fact, we're evolving right now at a faster rate than we have over the last several 100,000 years, which is pretty dope and very exciting. But we have this prehistoric chip. So there's this piece of our brain, this piece of our operating system that's super antiquated. And what it's done is, as a society, right, as a collective on the planet, this fear keeps us in a chronic fight or flight state. And it's because each of us holds that code in our DNA. It affects every one of us as a collective. So let me give you like an example of what I'm talking about. When you walk into a room, you share your aura with anybody else that's in the room, right? So, and you know that, you feel energy from other people. You walk into a room, someone's smiling and happy, you kind of are like, oh, that's great. You walk into a room and you got 5 other people in there and they're just slouched over and tired. You start to pick that up, right? It's just like when you go to hug somebody, and sometimes you hug somebody and you just mush into them. And other people you could hug, and it's like, I literally just hugged like a reptile, like a rock, right? Because we all have an aura. We all have energy. We all produce an energy field. So our collective energy field holds this fear, this stress in our DNA. That's why in really highly populated areas, like here in New York, right? Just came from the city today. You get into these densely populated areas and you feel the stress of everybody. That's not some woo-woo shit. That's real. That's physiology, right? That's again in our DNA. And here's the thing. All stress creates this field, which the Eastern philosophers have actually coined Maya, which means skin, which is like this skin, this coating over collective consciousness that keeps us separate from really understanding like our ability to be peaceful and unified as human beings. Whoa, right? Amazingness. This is why I love to talk about this, because we deal with this as individuals and we can literally raise up beyond that Maya and collectively raise humanity above its DNA encoded fear. And DNA is highly sensitive to the energy of the environment. This means that how you think, how you feel, and how you behave, and most importantly, what you think you are, right, is greatly affected by your environment. So the deeper understanding here is that the frequency you are tuned into creates your environment. Okay, it's a circle, right? So you got humanity, manifestation of all these energy fears that are shaped by fear, creating an environment that puts us all under stress. The fear of the collective world puts each of us under great stress. So I'm sharing this because it's important to understand that this is we all share, right? And it's not just like some unique individual conditions. We have this amazing gift and responsibility to each other in service of ourselves and each other to see what we can do to raise above that. And like I said, if we're collectively raising that frequency, I believe that we can push through that and feel more people as humans in unity. And that just gives me the chills every time I say it. So it starts with your internal environment though, right? You change your internal environment, meaning if you can change your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs, you change your reality. You change what you see, what you hear, and what you attract in the external world, right? If you think the world is a shitty, dangerous place, then guess what? You're going to attract shitty, dangerous things because it's all you're going to see. That's what's in your fields because that's your belief system. But if you start to break that down and question that in all love and curiosity and wonderment and say, why do I believe that? Is that even really true? What if I just decided, what if I just chose to believe that the world is actually a really supportive place and that the universe is here to provide for me and we live in abundance? And then you start to see like the world differently and you see things in your field that are positive, that are bountiful, that are abundant, that are beautiful, and then you start to attract a higher frequency in, right? Again, another simple analogy is when you, and I work with clients all the time and I always say this because it's like we all get this. Ever go to purchase a new car, right? And you kind of have in mind what you want. You're like, all right, I know the kind of car I want. And then you wind up seeing that car everywhere on the road, whereas like before you decided you wanted that car, you never saw it. Because now you've pulled that into your stream of consciousness, into your energy field. So that's the same thing, right? The thoughts you think manifest in your external reality. So when you live in fear, you feel stressed out, you feel uneasy, then all you see and hear is chaotic frenzy and noise, right? But stepping into a higher frequency of faith and trust, then the same life can be seen through an entirely different lens, one of peace and calm. It's a choice, right? We always have a choice. So that's one of the ways that we can start to really manage stress is thinking internal. What's the internal game looking like, right? And one of the key manifestations of stress is the inability to dissolve anxiety, right? So how stress really manifests is that we feel anxiety, like constantly. So you what you're doing is you're actually giving your mind, you're giving your thoughts the reins and allowing it to make decisions to end the stress, which is kind of futile. And I've been there and I've been down that roller coaster and I still work through it. I'm human too. Is when we give our mind control, that's where the stress started to begin with. And then we're asking the mind to relieve it of the stress. So again, the key is to get in and change your internal environment deep within the feelings. And that will help you to then alter your thoughts and then eventually change your beliefs, which is a lot of the deep dive work that I do with my clients. So stress at its core is essentially your inability to stop reacting to fear. And it becomes kind of an addictive loop. The chemical connection to your adrenal glands is clear, right? It shows up really in two different ways. So I kind of see like two different human responses. Either there's like tremendous physical output, like the busy bee person, right, who cannot sit still, or there's the person who just goes into like isolation and like just becomes kind of like withdrawn. The lack of physical activity is the second human response, the couch potato. And the thing is, in nature, there is this purely divine flow. Like life knows when to move and when to rest and restore. And this collective stress of humanity that's created this skin, this Maya, has disconnected us from this natural pattern. So it's showing this one extreme or another, right? So we either get stuck or we get restless. And so the first thing to do is, what I really would invite you to do is identify, how it manifests for you. Are you the stuck person, the person feeling like you can't get off the ground, right? Like, so as far as symptoms go, it's like the trouble getting out of bed in the morning and experiencing headaches and lethargy and possibly depression, feeling withdrawn and having salt cravings. Restless folks, your symptoms are going to look more like, because you try to escape your fears through constant activity and action. You might feel bloated, especially around the stomach, craving sugar, obviously because you need that for the energy that you got to go with. Trouble staying asleep at night, irritability, burnout, anxiety. So it's helpful to kind of understand like how you personally as an individual respond to stress, because then we can get in there and we can literally lay down new ways of your physiology reacting to that, or I should say really responding to that, so that you send messages from your DNA to your brain to start to stimulate different responses so that now you've created this different reality. I mean, that's how much personal power we have. It's amazing what we can do as humans. It truly is. And here's the thing. I want to wrap this up. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I know I went rapid fire because it's Friday evening and hopefully you get a chance to relax and unwind, have some water, or maybe some wine, or maybe both, all good. But what I'm offering here is like something I'm so freaking excited about, because I've been called to share this for such a long time. It's been my deep, deep study for literally over 20 years as a physiologist. Like I've been on a deep fascination and journey also with personal development. And I've invested, and I say this, because when I look back, I'm like, wow, this has really been such a meaningful experience for me, and how much it matters to me is I've invested over $250,000 in my own education and personal development, and just feel so called to be able to share that with as many people as possible. And it's come into such a culmination recently. And that's why I'm inviting you to experience these, integrations of kind of like what I call psychophysiology, where it's just really like science and magic coming together. And the first way that I would love to be able to share this, just especially with you guys, is through a course I created to help you understand the nature of your stress and really provide you with a clear roadmap to rise above it. So whether you're the busy bee or the couch potato, you'll finally be able to unlock yourself from your own insidious fear patterns, which I get because I've lived them too. I still experience them. And I know what's worked for me. And then studying those as a physiologist and just being able to offer some solutions for you so that you don't blow out your adrenal glands in the long term, right? It's definitely not what we want, not optimal health there. So you'll also learn to link up your microbiome, right? It's a lot about your gut health that becomes so relevant here. So I'm going to provide a detailed food list complete with some fun recipes that you'll have just to create an ironclad combo of nutrients to enhance the unique chemistry that you have in your body and the bacteria in your gut to really offer protection and deep healing for your vital tissues so that you don't run the risk of blowing out your adrenal glands. And so that's my stress to stillness course. And then the second option would be to do a deeper dive coaching. And here's what's so powerful about this. If you're called to really understand your body chemistry in a way that literally will activate new strands of your DNA to fire messages that alter your reality, okay? To learn deeply how to trust yourself, to ignite your intuition in a way that will dissolve fear and help you kind of dance with fear and doubt every time it surfaces. And it's you and I together in full support of you. This is what I love to do. We find clear intention. Okay, when you have clear intention based on your individual destiny, like your soul's purpose, then setting up a path and allowing it to unfold in flow and ease and not hope and yearning, which is what, when you're fantasizing about some result in the future, it actually causes real discord and disconnect. And again, those adrenals are firing stress hormones like crazy. So we want to unplug from that and we want to reset the course and really just pull in with ease what you desire based on your soul's purpose. It's like a much different way of looking at things through opening up your heart. And we're going to get into so much more about how to transform your brain waves from the frenetic beta wave activity that keeps you running around in this stressed out cycle all the time that you feel like you can't seem to break free from it no matter what you try. It's like, I'm going to go meditate and I'm like oming out and it's great. And then boom, I'm plugged right back in. I'm under that Maya and I'm just in it. And you've got this beta brainwave activity going all the time, which is your problem solving, and the thing is we have all these other beautiful brainwaves that we're able to release, and teaching you and sharing with you a journey on how to get into those delta and theta waves, those relaxed brain waves, and ultimately into gamma, which is super flow, which to me is the antidote of burnout. And so I really go deep dive here. It's a 30-day experience. You'll get 4 coaching phone calls with me and a full detailed blueprint of exactly how we're going to create this beautiful synergy for you personally, and how you're going to be able to open up your heart space and really act in alignment with your soul's purpose so that you're just calling stuff in. Ease and grace, my friends, rather than push and chase and burn out and struggle and hard and blowing out those adrenals. And if that calls to you at all, right? If this is pulling your soul, you owe it to yourself, right? To explore this, and just message me. That's it. Super easy. I'll send you through with a quick application process because, this kind of work, it's not for everyone. And I just want to make sure that it's an energetic match for you, so you can start with the course and then invest in the coaching down the road if that feels good to you, or you can dive right in and we can get to roll up our sleeves and have some fun and play together in this space and just rewrite your biological codes for exquisite health. So like I said, it's a 1-month experience. Just shoot me a message and let me know if that really calls to you. Give yourself permission to at least explore the possibility, because you totally deserve to have it all and you deserve that exquisite health. And I am so freaking psyched for your freedom. Hope this was helpful. Shoot through any questions. Happy to answer. And have a fantastic freaking weekend. Boom.